I am 7 years old. I started this channel 7 years ago to make 10 highlighting videos. How hard could it be, right? We're over 500-ish videos, and 400 are evergreen content. That is going to probably stay up forever. This is a update video slash anniversary video slash budget video slash there's 3 versions of this video. People in my email list will see a much longer version than you're going to see, and my patrons are going to see an even longer version with things in there I'm only sharing with them at this point. So buckle up and we'll just go for a little ride of the behind the scenes of how not to if you're interested in that. If you're not interested in the last year of the channel, how much money I've made, how much money I've spent, there are 400 other videos for you to go watch. This video is for the people who really like the behind the scenes of a channel, because I know I like seeing these things of channels that I watch all the time. So anyways, I started this channel September 21st, 2016 is when I first published my first video. I did make 4 videos before putting my first one out so I could consistently put out. From day one, I wanted to never miss a Wednesday. For the first year, it was every other Wednesday, but I never wanted to miss a published day that I've preset. And now it's every Wednesday. And I have never missed a Wednesday. And sometimes that's very hard. And other times I have 12 videos in the bank and I don't know which one to choose to post that day. So that's a roller coaster of behind the scenes to stay and look consistent. What ends up happening if I do have videos in the bank is they end up feeling old and stale to me. They're new to you. But then if I live stream or make short videos or something of me like doing something like building a new lab, but I have like 12 videos from another lab, that's a little weird. I'm actually still purging probably 15 more videos of stuff that we filmed in the past. I think 2 Wednesdays ago, I posted something with Bobby and I talking about bolts. That was filmed maybe a few months ago when he was visiting here, but those bolts we've been testing for 2 years and never made a video about them. And I was just like, I still want to test more things with them, but at some point you just have to hit publish. And usually I'm pretty good about that. But when I really wanted the perfectionist side of me comes out, I let videos take too long. The Dano jump on Leaning Tower, for example, is a video that I am procrastinating on. So I really want that out in November, because that will have been 2 years since I did that. If you want to know how we rigged it. So I'm going to keep that video probably a very how not to style. Stand here, explain it, B-roll it, and not overkill it. Because I've been trying to overkill it for 2 years now. The short video we posted is kind of the buzz. And that was something Andrea and I edited for like 14 hours without sleep right after we got back from it. I'm glad we did that. And that way we got it out to you guys. But things like that get clogged in the system. And so this next year, I'm going to be talking about what happened, and I'm going to be talking about what will happen. And that's mostly the email list, and the Patreon list is going to have more of this side. I have stuff that people have sent me. I have, Chad, if you're watching, I still have all your tat. This is a brake test video. That's of all the tat from the gunks that he replaced. And I haven't broken it yet because I want to edit the things I'm breaking closer to each other. It is a lot easier to edit a video I just shot. It's a lot more fun to edit a video I just shot. It's a lot more fun to get feedback on a video. It's a lot better for them to see the video while it's still fresh. And even if I could get, ideally, 4 to 8 videos in the bank, it's like only a month away from when it actually happened for you guys. So I really want to get better about that. What ended up causing the bigger and bigger and bigger delays is that I would batch film more stuff every time I went to do something. So when I moved up here to Washington, which is in the Seattle area, because I met Andrea and I was living in my welder's house, and I was renting the back of his shop where the drop tower was, and that was a great transition and only intended to be a transition. I wasn't trying to rent a room forever from him. I'm very grateful that they let me stay longer than I was actually planning, which is usually how roommates are, right? In 2022, I would fly down to the lab, which Seattle, Sacramento is not bad. You film 8 videos, cost per video to go down there isn't that much. And then, or I would drive, depending if I was going to Yosemite or not. And that's, Bobby would come over. That's why he was in a lot of videos. We'd shoot 8+ videos at a time, and I paid the price for my sins of not staying organized when I would come home and try to edit all of that for 6 weeks. And there's a real disconnect between the stoke of breaking something, the curiosity, the actual thing of like, does this tat from the gunks break weaker? Is tat a good idea? Is plastic versus bolts? Like all the stuff that you're like jacked on making the video when you say yes, you kind of lose it. Trying to get more of a connection between when we do stuff, when we film stuff. Moving on. What you measure really steers your ship. And I don't think subscriber count is a good metric at all. But that is the metric so many people use. It took me 9 months to go from 80,000 to 115, and then I kind of just crawled through the year, and now I'm at 216, which is crazy that I kind of got stuck at 160 for a while, 150, 160, and then went boop because of one silly short, had millions of views. I have learned to value how short form can be a good form of communication. I still like this long form. I like having a personal dialogue with you guys like this. Short form is a really powerful tool for the next project I want to do, but I still really enjoy the long form. Anyways, I think short form caused social media socialism. And so everyone's famous now. TikTok, everyone's got 1 million followers. And so you still, if you started a channel today, you'd have to work pretty hard to get, a large following. And if you don't have a big, 400 video bank before, even if you did get a viral video, it just is a puff in the wind and then it disappears. But to go from 162 to like 215 is kind of silly when it was on a slackline, not video. I wish it was over something that I worked really hard on, whatever. It's cool to be over the 200,000 mark. So what metrics do I actually value now? Am I really happy with the video? I'm not self-conscious about my editing anymore. I like my style. I'm going to improve a little here and there, but I'm happy with what I put in the universe now. Am I really happy about a bolt video from Jordan and how I edited that and took the footage that I had to work with and made it interesting? Yes, I love that stuff. I look at the comments, generally positive. They're actually more positive. I've learned Troll Patrol. I've learned better communication. I've learned to add more value in the video, not just talk out of my ass. I had to learn everything from scratch when I started this channel. But I do appreciate that people have been going for the ride for so many years. Put in the comments how many years you've been watching. I'm super curious what the date ranges are of the people who are watching this, for example. With the algorithm being so wonky and realizing that I am so dependent on it dishing out the content, it's unnerving that corporate YouTube has got my entire brand by the throat. And that's why the email list is so important for me. We're at 5,700 emails with about a 55% open rate. And that's why the giveaways are based on those who open the emails. I really want to build up trust with my email list that I'm not spamming you. I'm just telling you what I've done for the week, because I don't think YouTube's doing that. One of the comments in my last Big Wall video was somebody who had the bell notification on and was subscribed did not get the video notification. And they stumbled upon it like you do on your home feed page. And that's crazy. That it's feeding you what it wants. And so that's why the email thing is relatively important for me. It gives me a form of security and redundancy in the thing. So Instagram's an interesting animal. I'm at 70-ish thousand followers. And those I've more or less earned with the types of shorts that I've put out there because they're made specifically for Instagram. They are 60 seconds of something that does not exist in a long form video that I'm trying to promote that video and make you go from Instagram to YouTube, which doesn't work. It's so when I actually, it sounds really stupid, but I got into the habit of watching Instagram stuff in the evening, like so many people try to not do now, so I can learn how to make better content. I think it's helped me understand what I like. You got to consume it, right? So I'm consuming it to see what I like and what I don't like and what would fit in the breaking gear fear zone I'm trying to do, where we're just breaking 1 or 2 samples. And I've actually done 50 something short videos like that that would never have made it on the main channel because it was 1 or 2 samples, or they would just be really shitty Wednesday videos. So I actually like the short form for that, which has made my long form videos, not this one, edited a lot tighter. You'll notice at the beginning of like the first 10, 30 seconds of a video, it's just jumping around like it is a short just to like hook you. And then we get more into the meat of the story. But I try to advertise what you're going to see before you commit 10 or 20 minutes to it. Your feedback is actually, has always been the biggest metric, honestly. I try not to look at the numbers. There's a YouTube Studio is an app you can have on your phone. It tells you all the numbers. I deleted the app. I do look sometimes when I'm looking at a video. I was curious with the big wall video I posted yesterday. It wasn't a banger because I did no clickbait title, no clickbait thumbnail. It was a really cool thumbnail. I established a big wall title. Not that many views, which leads to the clickbait issue. Sorry about that. I actually hate doing that. If you try to like search something, it makes it very difficult. But there's a long game here that I'm trying to do. I want to assemble everything we've ever done into a book. Actually, I don't think I've ever said this on YouTube. I want to make a book called Breaking Gear Fear. And it's going to basically be like the Bolting Bible, where we talk about a topic, shows the videos that we've tested in it, other people's stuff about that topic that we've found on the internet. Just like the Bolting Bible, it would be for cams and ropes and nuts and everything we've tested. You know, can you dip a rope in oil and it still works? Makes it greasy. Spoiler alert. So if you can learn everything from what we've done on this channel in 7 years, in 2 hours reading a book, that's the goal. And so that's taking longer than I thought. So the clickbait title thing gets a little weird since I never got that started yet. We'll get into the one-man show problem, maybe into the email section of this thing. I am rolling something out in stages, and that's why there is a public video, and then there's the email section, and then there's the patron section. This is a termination plate. Think of how many boring titles I could have for this. Aren't knots free? $50 question mark is the title and thumbnail of that. Not termination plates. Clickbait. Not clickbait. To be fair, definition of clickbait is hot girl's bikini top falls off on the beach and then you talk about this. That's actual clickbait. So, I'm trying to stay in the realm of acceptable when I put these titles and thumbnails. 157,000 views? Are you kidding me? There's so many other videos that are worth watching than that. But anyways, that just shows you the power of the clickbait stuff. So a year recap of like things we've done is around this time we were putting out the Big Wall series, which was like, I'm glad I didn't wait and be a perfectionist on that. I think that was a great kickstart for the bigger plan of the Big Wall Bible that I am still working on. But having that out there in the universe, more stuff comes back, which means I can add more to it, that's how the Bolting Bible got to where it's at today, is by making the Bolting Bible. It's just like this feedback loop. That's what's so great about the YouTube thing. That came out, people really liked it. No one video like did great, but that's not the metric I was going for the, a series like that. And then we put out the ice course. That got way more traction than I thought it would. Because we had 4 Iceland guides share a whole bunch of stuff as if you're going to go new for the first time, which is super helpful to watch before you go try it. And that I think is going to do well again as winter approaches. And so I like that evergreen content, and I like that course type material that you accidentally find one of them and you realize there's this like 14 video series that you can watch. But the ice course one it's longer. You'll notice that these are longer single videos, which it's like 60 to 80 hours to make these tight enough to be one video, because it'd be a lot easier to make 2 or 3 2-hour videos. But to edit something tighter takes a way longer. So I have 2 courses in the works right now. One is a sport climbing, intro to sport climbing. And I actually filmed that with Hard as Easy because we were in Tenerife where he was on accident. And we're like, wait, you live like 30 minutes from where we're staying. So we ended up filming half of that, filming the other half here. And I kind of almost have it edited, but I don't want to put it out until my secret is fully up and running, because it will be really, really, really helpful for that. And then I have been interviewing rope swingers for a really neat, unique way of teaching a complex topic. I mean, rope swinging is not rocket science, but everybody does it different and skins a cat different. Instead of 2 guys standing here and being like, how do you do it? And like leaving out the other 10 ways. We actually just did these 1 to 2 hour podcast style things where we talked about the anchors, the span, the swing, the fulcrum, how you connect it all, pulling people back up, injuries. And we just go down that list with everyone. And if you're not a rope swinger, you're not going to watch them, and that's okay. My God, if you are, though, it's just liquid gold on the internet. And it's cool that I can contact any and all of them and get them to talk to me for 2 hours. And yeah, it's all in the works. But I want to release it when I have it as more of a package deal. And so that stuff takes longer. So those are things that you haven't seen yet that is in the works. But then when we upgraded the bolting Bible, that took a bunch of time and totally worth it. I really actually like the new format where it has the sports broken out in the New Testament and everything in the Old Testament. And so I can build on that. I'll probably be adding a 5th chapter, Industrial Anchors. Mark Hanna lives around here, and he, I think it'd be really great. He's really good at this stuff. And so it'd be really interesting to have in the bolting Bible a lot about anchors that you trust your life to in the industrial world, because people do that every day and they want to know too. It's one thing that something's stamped for approval and you have to clip it and your boss tells you to go over the edge. It's probably fine, but it is interesting to actually understand what you're trusting your life to and not just randomly clip it. The bolting Bible is actually intended for people who just trust their life to bolts and not just the people who put them in. But it's helpful for both. This lab, I was like, what did I do this year? I moved, and that was worth it. So I was in an apartment, and then I'd go down to the lab in Lodi, and then I'd come back to the apartment, and it worked. But when I realized I couldn't do what I really wanted to do on the channel without having to be able to break stuff at a moment's notice in my socks, I was going to rent a space up here. And I was like, well, why don't we just rent a house and take that rent money I'd spend on a studio or lab and put it in a house. And so that's why this is in my house now. So, wow, it's temperature controlled. That's a big deal. You can't hear when it's raining outside. There was a tin roof on the shop. My garage was 100 degrees back when it was in my garage at my house originally. So having this space down here that I can just come shoot and the camera was already set up. Oh, the lights are already on. I don't have to set anything up. It made me about 3 times more efficient on anything I was doing. Because if I can break it and then go edit it that flow is amazing. But I'm still editing all that stuff from that last previous life. This is so light. This is a titanium bolt, wedge bolt. And this is a titanium hanger. And that is so interesting, and I want to break it, and I'm editing things that are 2 years old. It's not as much fun. And then when they send me that, they end up waiting for 6 months. Chad, who gave me all that gunk stuff, ends up waiting for months. And so I'm trying to get the assembly line better. But my new secret is going to help me with that. So there is a grand conclusion to all of this that you're at least going to have to be in the emails to see. If you sign up for the emails, you will see this video, even if you miss it in Saturday's video. I'm going to post this on Saturday. The thing about the lab is I had a 21-foot long test bed in Larry's shop. And that's pretty hard to find in a house. And so an average master bedroom is 13 feet wide. So I made that brake test machine 12 feet 7 inches, and that the ends are all honeycombed. We have the video, I'll link in the description, of showing you how that more or less works. There's 2 chambers, so the hydraulics are in the bottom, and it comes in, it's a U shape for the under 50 kilonewton stuff. And then the big one is, they're not usually stretchy samples. And so that is perfect for me. I don't know who else that'd be perfect for, but that was also something we spent a bit of time on when I was traveling back and forth from GGBY to up here to whatever. Steve's in Nevada and I was in California, and Washington's up here, and Steve helped me build that. And it worked. Not every idea I have works. And so I was pretty happy. Like, I really gambled on moving up my stuff up here, and it was better than I hoped. So a lot of the year went to transitioning. So in 2022, I built a new website, and I had a little code custom made for my filter so I could have it easier for you guys to find stuff. This was before the breaking gear for your book idea. I should have just summarized all the videos in a book like the Bolting Bible from the beginning. It'd be done already. But I zigzagged towards moving forward. I spent a lot of energy blogging videos that would be nice in written form. Something you could just scan through, 5 minutes. You get what the video was about. You see the graph, the chart, whatever. It's more easy to share. Something I liked referencing when I just wanted to know the data because I don't remember it all. But it doesn't get the traction. There's no like buttons. There's no comments in there. There's no feedback in the analytics. I don't know what I did wrong with the SEO. It just doesn't get viewed. A couple hundred views just isn't worth the... I literally could have made twice as many videos. But I think the written form is so valuable, but not maybe in that form. But now we're going to do something completely hybrid, and it just solves every problem I've had, and I'm jacked on it. So I think about this stuff from a 20-year perspective. This is year 7, right? I'm not trying to race across some finish line for today. Like, I'm in the game long enough to make moving to a studio/lab just the most obvious thing I can do. To have a good website, the most obvious thing I can do, because I'm trying to go real deep on this. My big picture goal is to answer every question anyone's ever had about their gear. Ever. If you trust your life to it, I want to answer the question. Oh, that's ambitious. Yeah, so I can't just have like a shitty lab setup, and I gotta have a good workflow and stuff. So I love answering questions that I have and then other questions that people have. If things go well, then Wednesday you will see this paramotor video where we broke tested a whole bunch of carabiners that break consistently 50% below their MDS, no matter how you pull it. I love that stuff. And I want to do it a lot. And so I think having a good foundation helps with that. So I've been very transparent with the finances of this channel since I asked for donations, and we will get into the weeds of that in a little bit. Well, something I wasn't planning on doing, but something I think you should see is my lab. I'll start using my phone and I'll film for a minute and kind of show you what I've been doing. I think I'm going to show you because it's messy. Like, so many people just put their best selves on the internet, and there's I just want you to see like kind of what it looks like. It doesn't always look like this, but because I've been pretty busy for the last 8 weeks working on my new project, life gets like this. A lot of people's stuff gets like this. I don't like showing you guys half-finished projects. I know I'll put a bolting Bible out there that's half-baked, but yeah, so let's give you a little lab tour, and then I'll show you the budget. If we're gonna be raw in this video, why don't we just show you everything, eh? So you see me when you see the screen, but this is what I see when I'm looking at you guys. I don't see you guys. I see that, and so we're gonna turn that off. And so it's kind of weird staying in a room talking to yourself, right? That's why it's like nice to have the feedback. This is pretty cool. I wanted to have better photos, and I have this paper here, and it's gonna be a light box. I want to take nicer images of different things for different videos, different thumbnails, and that is small if I'm gonna do anything more than that in there. But this actually is going to be very helpful for our new project we're working on. This is an abrasion tester, or going to be. Joe helped me get so far on this, and I have somebody else maybe helping me take it over the finish line. But things like this, they're easy if you have 20 grand to throw at a project. But if you're trying to just cowboy it, these things take a lot of energy of mine, a lot of mental energy, since I don't have the money to just throw at things. The idea is this will spin controlled exactly how I want. Just using Arduino. You know that requires code, right? Anyways. And then this will spin, and we'll have an edge right here. So it will rub. And these are variable weights. This slides up and down, and this is something I'm going to do quite a few tests on. I'm very excited about this, and these will be like long tests that take like weeks to do. Glacier Black has some really cool ropes out, and this is, I think, the Newt. And we are testing a whole bunch of things for him because they're high-tech 8mm ropes as canyoneering ropes develop. And it's interesting to see what goes into the manufacturing process as I get more of an insight on this than just reverse engineering this stuff. It's nice to actually work with the people who are making this stuff and the decisions they make. This is interesting. You see all the fuzzies? This is, I think, rope's been a few seasons down at Canyon. The fuzzies, Technora, the Dyneema looks perfectly fine. So the material science, we're going to get pretty nerdy about material science. Edge, I still need to replumb my hydraulics in there because they slip a little and they don't hold the pressure the way I want. So that's why it's a one pull wonder. Just trying to grind my crack over here where I want, once I test this piton scar, we're going to test what gear works best in this. Then I want to make it bigger. And so I'm trying to figure out how to grind that out. Steve pounded a piton in there until it rounded it out. So go Steve. We have some basalt plates. We have some sandstone plates because we're going to test a lot of cams. And just general file, metal on metal. And that holds really well if I just want something consistent, depending on how the rock's held. The end of the video, I'll show you why and what we're testing and how these three are very different. That's a Z4. This is a C4, and how very different these two things are. And you'll that'll be the end of the video for the email people. Somebody sewed their own loops and they wanted me to test them. I don't do that for everybody. Please don't request it. This is the rope that broke in the Seneca Rock accident of the video we made. And this is the part that broke about a foot away from there. And so I'm trying to decide what to do with that. If I just want to pull on it, if there's more to it I want, but that's here. That's that. 1000 hertz load cell, the laptop, that's all stuff you've seen. As far as like this goes, these hold in the hydraulics and the load cells, and the stuff is all under here. And it's just worked so well. These two arborist pulleys have done well. Climbing Taiwan sent me some shackles because it's very hard to break bolts, and he's breaking bolts, and he found that these
actually performed really well because you end up breaking the quick links or whatever you put on there. This is a chemical test to see if it's what type of stainless it is. And that's really cool. We'll be exploring hollow drill bits. If you can drill around a bolt that's being stubborn and you want to reuse the hole, there's a science and art to it, but that requires time. My ceiling is falling and I have to put that back up, and it's just life. So some of these have made it into a short video or long form videos, but there's still quite a few pieces in here, and it's nice to have kind of a pile of these to pull from. So this is a ClimbTech permadraw, and somebody was making some of their own because, it's, if you're making a lot and you have the ability, if you're using a lot. So I think they made a version of this. And so this is stuff people send me, and it sits here for longer than I want it to, and I might have a solution to prevent that from now on. Oh, sorry, Renato. Damn it. He's been waiting so patiently for me to test those. Oh, this is interesting. These are cryo-freezed. These are like negative 300 degrees, and it's supposed to line up all the molecules and stuff. We're going to find out if that and this breaks stronger than normal. So Tebow on Instagram froze all this stuff, and this is a very interesting episode. But again, I don't want to film that or break it till I can film it. This stuff is Integra. So Dyneema is polyethylene on steroids. This is polypropylene on steroids. And so this might be some pretty amazing stuff in the future that you see in a lot of ropes in 10 years. And so it's kind of cool to see it early on and get to test some of it. SK99 Max, this is the really, really premium Dyneema, and I want to really explore more of that. And Canyon Zone has these hangers that are something you can put your rope directly into, and they're welded, and it's just an interesting thing. So I wanted to test those, and he sent those. Meet Woody. These gloves are because he's dirty, and I need to get sweatpants on him. But I want to do different ways of connecting him to things, use him in the drop tests. He kind of sits a little awkward on here because center is here. It works if I was pulling dead center. But if I want to test harnesses, that's a great start. And my arborist friend Corey hooked me up with this, and that was great. This is the spunk rope that shredded on Pass the Piton Pete's team on El Capitan, and I can't get it to break weird, and so it kind of just sat there. That's a small insight into maybe a quarter of my world. There's more we'll go into later in the video. But let's talk about money, because that's always awkward, and I like doing stuff like that on the internet. So, yeah, I started asking for donations when I started brake testing stuff, because I was like, that's when things got expensive. Otherwise, I was just showing you how to rig a highline. Like, I already was doing the stuff, whatever. But I wanted to break more and more. And, well, now you see what I'm into. But when I asked for donations, I felt like it was only right to be transparent about where the money's going. I mean, you can see I'm making videos. You can see I'm working my ass off. But still, I have a sour taste in my mouth from religion and donating a lot to churches back in the day. So I want to, if I ask for money, to be very transparent where that money went. Let's start with the income. So you understand context. The Patreon money is $1 per episode or $2 an episode. Some people do $3 an episode, and it's amazing. And I had about 300 at the beginning of 2022. This budget, by the way, is January to December of 2022. Yes, I do know it's September 2023. I'm stoked I got it done before my extended tax deadline was, not over yet. So now that it's done, I can give you these numbers. Usually I do this on January 1st. Patrons. I had 600 patrons after the Big Wall course came out because I was really pushing to have more patrons because I needed that to be, I needed it really bad to move here.
And so all of that kind of came together. The big old course was more of the why, or more of a call to action. If I don't beg for money, I don't get as much money. I hate that. I would love to just never beg for money again, which is what the secret is for, that you can see if you sign up for the emails. Please don't make it to the end of this video without signing up for the emails. You can always unsubscribe if you felt like I was spamming you on something. Anyways, $28,227. And that was more than the $18,000 the year prior. So that averaged $2,352 a month. It actually was more like $1,500 a month, and then it ramped up to like $3,000 or $4,000 a month by the end of the year. And because I got most of that chunk at the end after the big wall thing. So the reason I like the patron thing, I actually hate the platform Patreon, which is also I'm fixing with my secret. What I like is I know that I have a relatively consistent amount of money coming in every month, so I know what I can do, because I'm always filming or planning to film things 1, 2, 3, 6 months in advance, and so I'm projecting what energy I can exert on that project, knowing what money's coming in. And so that's why the Patreon thing's great. One-time donations are also great. And I hate subscription stuff, right? I get it. So the one-off $20 donations, or sometimes people donate $100 and they just want to check and be done with it. And it's almost the same thing as having a patron, right? If I put out 100 videos. So the one-time donations was $10,590, and the year prior was $27,000. And the reason is because I was doing a lot of drop tower videos and raising money for the drop tower, which I can still use. It's still there, but actually was able to do it on a tree near my house. And that is actually really nice to be able to just kind of like work out here, work out there, work in here. Because I built that tower, I knew how to do it on the tree, which cost $1,000, $1,500. I had to go through that journey to get to that journey. And then I want the dream, if we're going to put stuff out in the universe, an indoor drop tower. Because I don't know if you know, but it rains 400 days a year up here. As I often joke on the channel, 200% of your donations go back into the channel. You can see that the expenses were $47,000. Let's go into those. Labyrinth was $500 a month at Larry's, and that included that massive drop tower. So that was really awesome. He was really a helpful stage of this journey. So I appreciate you, Larry, if you're watching this. And then the rent that we rented for this space was the other part of that. So the how not to part of this rent is $1,300 a month, because I was looking at $2,000 a month places, and I end up getting way more value out of this. Software, website, and subscription stuff, Wix, domains. I have like 15 domains, Adobe, etc. $1,540. Editors, people I've hired online. I tried. $2,500. It helped. I learned actually quite a few things. I'm glad I did it, but I could teach a climber how to edit faster than I could teach a good editor how to climb. You got to understand like the culture, the question you're answering, how to communicate the science in the best way, because it's what you want to know. I can show you the 10 keystrokes on Premiere in an hour, and you pretty much would get it. But you got to be sitting here. It's like an in-person thing is what I found. And it's nice to know that's how it works, is going to work for me. Luckily, I live in a populated enough area of people who do this kind of thing that I should be able to get a person like that. I spent about $3,800 having my website designed by somebody who's good at it. I wasn't trying to bite that off. Andrea was super helpful in helping make like a mock-up of what we wanted to look and feel like. And then he implemented everything. And so I think he did a great job. I think the price was reasonable. The filter thing, the custom coding, what I got for $5,000 is a good price. I probably could have paid $10,000 and had somebody who was better at doing it instead of me having to explain. I spent a lot of time on it. It's okay. The filter works. I mean, you can go to hownoto.com and see it right now. Like just standard blog categories didn't quite cut it. And so I wanted a video that met like, do you want to see drop tests? just a whole thing of drop tests? Do you want to see bolt tests? Because we have bolt drop tests. You want to see ones with Bobby, and because we have bolt drop tests with Bobby, but they're not all like that. And so it would be nice to be able to filter it all out. The filter functions. The problem is it's hard to put 400 videos you've already made on the website while you're trying to make 100 more in a year and blog and keep up with those. So I've more or less did okay blogging as I went on videos that deserved it. And we did okay back blogging what we could. I think a combination of the new project I'm working on, the Breaking Gear Fear book being a better solution, I will eventually have a written form of everything I've done. Never judge how somebody's doing on the internet based on what they put on the internet. I put the best stuff I've got on the internet. There is 1,000 failures and things I feel like I'm not doing right happening behind the scenes. So, yeah, life is real for everybody. Moving the lab, not me. Not me moving up here, but actually going down and grabbing all this stuff and coming up here and going to Nevada several times was $2,832. Travel for filming stuff. I went back and forth to the lab. Cost per video, not that much. Went to Iceland and we got quite a few good videos. It was awesome. Moab and Yosemite. Now I put that in there just because it's an expense. Yeah, it's fun. I film the whole time. Is it work? Is it play? That's always been a debate, but I'm spending more than I'm getting in donations, so whatever. I just like to throw the number in there. Nobody's paying for me to go to Cancun and sit on my ass for a week. Lab gear and filming expenses, $5,000. I break more stuff on accident than I break, I think, on purpose. It was also nice to set up the Slack Snap, whatever, 0.0 I had, the mobile version, where I could do like 7 people pulling. And this is where we discovered a 5-to-1 was basically the best option. And we ended up, so I had created that pulley system that we were able to use in Iceland and other places where you have a mobile solution for it, which is opening up a lot of doors. And I might actually be able to put a winch on the back of the 5-to-1 as long as I got a fuse and know what things are going to break at, and I can test bolts and real rock a lot easier without having to pull out the hydraulics. As far as bolt break tests and the bolt requests go, I do that in batches, and I will always do that in batches because it's so much work to go and take the hydraulics somewhere and pre-install a bunch of glue-ins and then do everything. But anyways, that's why I'm still putting out the Nevada limestone bolt videos. We did like 50, and editing them is actually tricky. But I'd like to incorporate other things like what's happening in Thailand and with the like making them more full value. Rabbit trail, sorry, I do that. I got the 1,000 hertz load cell instead of just using the crane scales, and the 10,000 hertz load cell was great for like drop tower stuff, figuring out how fast you need a load cell to be. But I wanted a slow one because then you get a live graph, and that's why we're able to see the graph, and I can actually see what's happening as I'm pulling. I will get something maybe for a screen that's next to the sample so you can see the number go up as I see the value in that. I have to figure that out. I think universal testing machine is going to be the next investment this year, but the kind I want's like $100,000. I'm too dirtbag for that, so maybe find a used one. But then hopefully Instron will work with me because I mean, it's pretty good advertising. I really would hate to pay full price for something they're getting one hell of a commercial on. Slack Snap 5.0, the machine here. Steve put in so much work. I paid him, but way underpaid him. Metal's not cheap. We end up going with steel on this so we can go with a thinner gauge and getting away with the size we were doing. The aluminum always made me nervous. It flexed. Aluminum was the last machine. $29.83 for a machine that should probably cost $30,000 if I was like, make me this. Oh, I can only dream. Someday, maybe. Cameras and audio. The nice camera I have now, so worth it. I was able to split the cost with Andrea, and so I was able to get a very nice camera for only $5,000. The Sprat class, $1,875. And so I got my Sprat level 1. It was nice to get a feel for that world to better understand that stuff. And 2023's, that budget's not in here. I didn't spend a lot of money, but I focused more of my energy on learning. The best investment you can make that is never going to be taxed and you have with you forever, that pays the best dividends, is knowledge. And so the better I can get this, the better the channel will be for the rest of the channel's life, right? You can throw $10,000 at an idea and you might get a handful of videos out of it. But the more I know, the better the content will be for you guys. And it's not that I know everything, but I know how to interview better. I know how to edit better. I know how to communicate better. I know how to do the short forms. Like, just, it gets better the more I know. And this Brad class was a step in that direction. General business expenses. Running an LLC in a business. You're just like, holy crap, $23.87. So that adds up to $47,000 for about 100 videos. There's about 80 evergreen videos of last year, but I make like 20 and then they're like Monday updates and they eventually get unlisted, but short form too. We have about 50 short forms. Anyways, that's less than $500 a video for what we're doing here. Is like pretty good. Personal income, painting, 0, which is a big step. I was a painting contractor for 20 years. I was making good money. But it's painting and I love doing this. And so, it was kind of a big step for me to stop doing that because I believe in this. And the thing that I'm going to talk about after we cut off the public version of this, is just going to solve a lot of problems. Personal income, Google AdSense. So ad revenue, $25,450. Not bad for a niche channel. If you're just making silly videos, $25,000, pretty awesome. But $25,000 doesn't pay for the content. That's why the donations is such an essential part. Extreme gear. Extreme gear. So, we'll get into that in a minute. Rocky Talkies, lifesaver. They help sponsor the Big Wall course. That was about $6,000. And then 10% of what you buy supports me, and you get 10% off if you go to rockytalkie.com/hownottto. That's why I plug those. And I like the Rocky Talkies. I literally just use it on the Big Wall. I'm literally taking it in the cave we're going in because it's a dome and goes around the corner and the radio waves will bounce in there. 9703 is pretty helpful. I really like Bryce, the one of the owners I talk to often. That was unexpectedly nice to have and work with them and for it to work. And it being a sponsor that doesn't be like, oh, Black Diamond sponsors me. And so now it's awkward to talk about like a Mammut product or something. Swag, $36.79. It's pretty good. There's usually for a YouTuber, there is a lot of streams of income that come in that add up to making a living. But 40 grand a year is about $4 an hour. So 40 grand a year, it's fine-ish. That's technically all I live on. But then I end up having to put another 10 into the channel itself. So overall, 2022 was a loss. And I use the word loosely. I feel like my life is way better. Money's not everything. As far as 2023 goes, since we are 9 months into it now, the patron thing actually kept picking up. And so now we're doing about, in donations, about $5,000 a month. That is a breath of fresh air. And that's really awesome. Because I can run pretty much everything I need to run off $5,000 the way I do it. Especially now that the lab is done and the abrasion tester's more or less just getting that coded. Even if I pay somebody maybe $1,000 or $2,000 worth of coding. So the donation thing has been wonderful. The what I can live on now is about $4,000 a month, sometimes $5,000, depending on, well, we'll get into the extreme gear thing in a minute. That is super sustainable enough. I'm not going backwards. And I was able to actually put money back into the YouTube checking account. And about 2 months ago, I actually finally hit my zero minimum balance in my checking account. And if you don't know what that is, let me give you a little budget secret. Have a month's worth of bills in your checking account so you can pay them before you get your money, and you're not stressed. So yeah, it's a couple grand, right? In a checking account. You're not going to get that much in a savings account in interest. It's okay. It makes life a lot less stressful when you have a nice, healthy zero balance in that checking account that you can, it's called cash flow. I finally hit that for the first time and was making about what I was spending or more about 2 months ago. I finally made it. And this is this is where the secret comes in. But we'll let me share the extreme gear thing. So let's start at the beginning. January of 2022, I started promoting extreme gear. John Ferroni helped me get the ropes I needed for the Dan Osmond rope swing. Super helpful guy. Cave Exploration Society. And I was like, oh, that is a weird name to promote if you're going to start selling climbing gear. And so I came up with Extreme Gear, and he couldn't get .com, so we got .org. And I was like, okay, extremegear.org. And it's really Cave Exploration Society, but it was like, if we're going to make a climbing store, that's what it was. I don't own any of it. I got 10% if you bought something from there. And there's caveats that if there's something on sale or we donated something or whatever, like I wouldn't get those commissions. So full price items, 10%. It was simple enough. The starting something from scratch is like the momentum phase. So let's call that 3 months of growing pains. The website was built on Squarespace, and it was really hard to make pretty. And he was doing it all himself, right? And so Andrea would help us like try to give us tips on what would make it look nicer. Squarespace was not the platform to do it on. And so we ended up losing probably 9 months on that. And so when people show up, the conversion rate's low because it didn't look great. And that's no one's fault. That's just we didn't know. And when John is home, he would be pretty helpful. He would CC me in emails and stuff. He was helpful. So we kept going, and I kept promoting Extreme Gear as an exclusive thing on the channel. And it was in 122 videos. So he eventually moves over to Shopify because you can integrate it into under the YouTube thing and Instagram. You could like buy it on the platform. If you like we talk about cams, it's like, oh, this makes a lot more sense. And there's still a disconnect though, just from me promoting a store, not touching the gear. The store's on the East Coast. I never saw it, right? I see the website. So there's a disconnect between the manufacturers, the gear, and all the stuff. So my videos all were doing over 100,000 views in December of 2022, January 2023, and everything was going really well. Extreme Gear, with the new website, looked so much nicer, started to do better. So this year of 2023, Extreme Gear has supported me about $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And that is a great next step from the $949 I got in 12 months in 2022. The unfortunate part is Extreme Gear no longer supports me because I no longer want to promote it. This was my decision to no longer promote it because the customer service started to fall off. I don't know why, but I started to get a lot of messages of like a core problem is if he would sell stuff that he didn't have in stock, because drop shipping's a thing, but the supply chain is so unreliable that if you sell something and then you have to wait for it to come for you to send it, and this part isn't reliable, but then if he's not communicating, like it's kind of like exacerbates that problem, which is already a problem. And that's cool. If you want to run a store like that, that's cool. I just, like, too many people were complaining. People said things were getting shipped really slow, and if they were willing to wait, they would buy stuff to support me, which I can't believe how many people bought some from Extreme Gear to support me. I appreciate that. Like, just to support me. When you can get something on sale, typically if you're chasing all the sales. Because nothing often was really ever on sale because, like, there isn't enough margin for him to give me 10% and knock something off 20% or 15% and chase all these Labor Day sales, right? So John went on 2 extended trips, and I started getting a lot of emails. People weren't getting their stuff in the mail, and that's because he didn't have a really good system on getting stuff in the mail. He had somebody supposedly putting stuff in a box, but there was zero communication via email. They didn't touch the emails. And so if something wasn't sent fully because they didn't have it all in stock, you know, the lady didn't know what to do, and so he didn't have a system in place, and he was in a cave. He was in another country. Like, it was just started, all these emails came in. I'm trying not to sugarcoat it. I'm trying not to throw anybody under the bus. But I refunded a bunch of people a bunch of my own money because I don't like what happened. And that made me quite upset. And I was like, this is not what I'm promoting. I don't want to associate my brand with that because I'm trying to do something with this. And so I decided to end it with Extreme Gear, which is a bummer after 20 months, 122 videos, and about 30 million views. But just like everything else I've done on this channel, I could not get to the next step without the previous step. You can't look at the last brick and say that's what built the house. It was all the bricks that built the house. So that chapter is closed, and how to communicate Extreme Gear no longer supports me in a efficient manner is weird and awkward because it's so ingrained in my audience's mind that supports me. And I don't, I mean, you can buy from there if you want. Like, the websites still exist. It just, he didn't handle it well. It wouldn't be such a big deal if he just was like, that's a bummer, but okay, and just continued on with the store, because that's kind of what I just like continue on with it. But that he didn't, he just ghosted me, and he still owes me money, and he owes some other people money that I'm finding out. And I'm still getting messages every day of people who have partial orders filled, and I'm not getting any emails. And I had to like get Shopify to take my face off of his website because he wasn't doing it. And so it's like this really awkward thing. And I'm just like, don't want to make a big deal about it on the internet, but I want to make sure people understand Extreme Gear no longer supports me. And I'm going to move on with my life. And that's where the rest of this video is going to continue on what I'm going to do. Thanks for watching. Click this, and please go sign up for the emails to watch the next part of this video. So if you've seen our last email, you will know that I am starting a store. You do not have access to it yet via the emails. Only the patrons do at this point, to make sure that I have broke test everything in it before I go to my email list and then my Discord and then public. Because I don't want to put out a half-baked store. The frustration I have with Extreme Gear makes me want to do really, really good. But also, like, if I'm gonna put my name on something, I want it to be really, really good. I didn't decide to do this until I refunded a very large amount of money to somebody because they weren't getting their order and they weren't getting communication. And so I'm grateful that things happened the way they did, because now that I have started a store, it's such a no-brainer, and I can't believe I didn't do it before. It's not easy. It's not rocket science, though. To have a direct line of contact with manufacturers is game-changing. To have a direct line of contact with people buying stuff helps me get in the mindset of somebody trying to figure out what to buy. Somebody buying zinc-plated stuff for bolting. I was able to have a conversation. I sold them what they needed. There was context there, but it's like, hey, you can do this, but this is if you're gonna do zinc plated, don't do the bolt. Like, I was able to have this conversation with them. Somebody wanted to buy a Grigory Plus, and I'm like, I don't know if you want to do that. People are buying carabiner I didn't even know existed. And it's like, wow, I have learned so much touching the gear. That's the third part. Touching the gear is game changer. I can't believe I didn't think of starting a store before. And it's not necessarily to make money. It is to make it more sustainable. I'm over hiring for the store in order to make sure, like, it doesn't take away from the channel, right? Because, like, I have a bad habit of biting off more than I can chew, but this might actually be the thing, because it actually generates money, in order to solve every problem I've brought up in the last God knows how long this video is. I can pay somebody to finish the abrasion tester. I can have somebody build me a better light box. I can get a universal testing machine. I can pay somebody to make my, do all the blogs. The blogs are hard. I'm very particular about the writing style. It's easy enough to hire somebody to run a store because there's systems in place for that. Now we have to create systems here for that to work, but I'm creating this thing from ground up to be ran by other people. And I'm trying to set them up for success by hiring 2 managers who work 4 days a week. So there's somebody here 7 days a week filling orders with 1 day of overlap. I want to have your stuff in the mail the day you order it by 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I want to guarantee that. I don't know how much I can guarantee it yet. The real value, there's 2 actually. The one main one is product description. And so the Z4 and the store managers are not just putting stuff on the shelf, put it on the website and put it in a box for you. Like as soon as they have nothing to do, which ideally there's enough time for this, because it's such a priority, is the product descriptions. They're just regurgitating, a store just regurgitates what the manufacturer tells them about the product. And you know that's not my style. Now, I'm not going to say you can go past 10 years on your sling if they say you're not supposed to, but I can explain why they say that and test things that are 30 years old and being like, this one broke like this. That doesn't mean they all broke like this. So you can see how it kind of integrates together. This is interesting. This is a C4 and a Z4, and this fits in a crack that this does not fit in. And that's interesting. The head is 30% more narrow, but how much more narrow than a totem? They do not have, Black Diamond does not have the measurement of the head. We spent several hours yesterday weighing, because they don't always weigh what they say. These were mostly accurate. But ropes are off by a pound. A pound. That is half of a kilogram, in case you don't know what a pound is, roughly. That's a lot when we're weighing these ropes. That's not counting the packaging, okay? So the fact that the information from the manufacturers is super good enough, sort of. Now that I'm getting into the weeds of how much you should know about this and why that cable is twisted and how the thumb loop is different on the ultralights, which is what was so great about the ultralight video, we can get into the weeds and we're going to make the product descriptions an encyclopedia of gear of everything that we carry. Now, at first, in order to open the store, I got to have the ropes, the harnesses, the helmets, the carabiners, the blade device. I have to have all of it to call myself a store. But I don't want to carry too much until we have all the product descriptions done. But that is where we will spend and reinvest all of our money, is making this really, really helpful for you guys, and compare not just facts about this, but compare it to this and compare it to a wild country, compare it to a totem, compare it to an alien. Placing the Z4, it has the ability to get a little bit smaller to fit in this crack, versus if you take a C4, even if you squeeze it all the way, you can't get it basically in a way that you would want to take a whipper on it. That is not a good placement. And then the purple totem, you couldn't get that in there at all. That is not something you'd want to whip on. But then just to show you, the Z4 fits in there, and I would whip on that guy, and you can actually still get it out. So that range is a little bit better than these other ones. So we'll be giving away a lot of stuff in the emails, Mr. B style, giving away a lot of stuff. And if you're not into what we're giving away, we'll give you the equivalent of a gift card. So we're not turning into one big fat commercial. It's literally the best way for me to organize this massive amount of information that I'm doing and putting out on the internet and being like, I have no way of organizing this. So like, you know that filter for the blogs? We're gonna have a store filter, like a normal store filter. And when you land on a product and you have a question about how cams break, we can talk about single axle versus double axle and have a FAQ and what happens if a rope gets wet versus frozen versus why there's double dry treatments versus what is the different treatments out there, different brands, which one's the best. All the stuff we're already doing, but where you want it when you're trying to buy the product. The other value is that if you donate $1 per episode or $99 a year, that we're setting it up where you get 20% off. And so I can say that in a really long video that only my email list has. I'm not going to push that too hard in videos. I'm just going to let word spread because that offer is pretty good. Because if I can get enough people donating $99 a year and not need to make that much off of them after that when they're buying gear, then I can have salaries in the bank before hiring people, which I don't want to hope I'm going to make enough money. I don't want the stress of the money, being like hiring a bunch of people and not knowing how I'm going to make payroll. I'm going to have a year's worth of payroll saved and be like, now you have a steady, stable job, and now you're going to help us do this thing. That's all going to get reinvested back into what we're doing, which means the bolting Bible, I can afford to pay somebody to design it, which is like $5,000 for 200 pages, which is cheap, but still an investment. But I have to go through and rephoto a bunch of stuff because I can't print the quality of photos or some of the photos that I just kind of borrowed in there. There's so many things that we can do if we have this store. So if I carried enough stuff, high value stuff, expensive things that you might already be buying if you're buying gear, and you got 20% off, it's very economical for you to donate $99. It's going to be a no-brainer. So it's similar to the REI thing, but it's not quite the same. I'm not giving you store credit points or dollars you can spend at the store, or you got to wait a year. No, you get literally 20% off in the cart. And that is, I think, going to be worth it to a lot of people to buy stuff from our store, even if they don't care about the product pages we're working on. Something else I want to make sure I communicate to my audience is that the low price guarantee that's so cliche in stores, it's legit. You will never pay more money at another store than you will pay at mine. And I just have to figure out a way to get people to be like, hey, I saw this other price, and being like, hey, that's fine. Here you go. And making that a smooth, easy process so the managers don't get all clogged up. Because if you could buy anything related to climbing that you want at the best price with the best information, the store should be successful enough for me to make better videos. I can't see it not going well. We actually already have 31 or 33 orders already, and gross sales about $8,500. That's pretty cool. And you're probably wondering, how is that possible if you're not giving anybody this store information? My patrons have access to it because I wanted just a few orders, 1 or 2 a day, in order to make sure that we figure out international shipping. There's a lot to know about that. We're going to have some really helpful information on the website on how to determine if it's right for you to buy something from another country. If it's light, it might work. If it's really heavy, I might not be able to compete. But I want to see if I can collaborate with a bunch of other stores that might already be in your country and help them get business they wouldn't otherwise because you're buying through the hownotto.com. But the problem with that is I want to only sell what I stock. And that means I can put it in the box the day you order it. Crazy concept, I know. There is a shocking number of websites that sell stuff that they do not have on the shelf. But they think they can get it in a few days. But then they have to communicate that. Oh my God. This is so important to break stuff in the videos, and these assholes, 6 weeks lost waiting for them because they didn't have it in stock. Moose Jaw. They said they had ice screws. They didn't, and they screwed me. I had to overnight it before I went to Iceland. It's just so frustrating when people sell stuff they don't have. So I'm not obviously a fan of drop shipping, but if you're already in Canada, there are stores that sell and stock gear there. Can I have them fulfill the order so they can make a little money? You guys don't have to pay as much and should maybe even get free shipping. We'll see. All things I'm trying to figure out. So in the emails, we will have the Wednesday video, a little bit of behind the scenes, which mostly is the store because I've spent 8 weeks working on it and keeping it a secret. So there's a lot there to share, but hopefully 2 shorts like I normally do. And then once we're ready to launch, we'll run a sale of sorts, just to kind of have you guys help us break test the store. Now for the patron version, we'll continue after this. Thanks for watching my email list.